Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm about to work out, but I thought first I would film a quick video and let you know my thoughts on The Dry, which is a 2016 thriller by Jane Harper. This is a murder mystery that takes place in a small fictional town in the Australian countryside. I guess it's in the outback, and that town is full of agricultural workers, farmers who are in a really rough patch because of climate change, because it hasn't rained in years, and there's kind of this oppressive heat that's been going on. And amidst that setting and backdrop, our main character, Aaron Falk, who's a financial crimes investigator who lives in Melbourne now, has been called back to this hometown of his because his childhood friend, Luke, has been murdered. And not only is Luke dead, they think that Luke also shot his wife and his 6-year-old son, Billy, but he left his baby, Charlotte, to live. So that is kind of the main murder mystery that we see unfold. And the basic premise is that Aaron has to grapple with going back to his hometown, which he left under negative circumstances in the past, and kind of like the old town members, neighbors that he runs into, and slowly him getting pulled into the investigation because there's more than meets the eye when it comes to how Luke and his family were killed. It's just the main setup of the first murder mystery, but at the same time, we also have flashbacks to what happened, what went down between Luke and Aaron, as well as their two friends, Gretchen and Ellie, when they were in high school. So you learn pretty early on that Ellie also died, and everyone thinks that she died by suicide. She drowned herself in a river because they found stones in her pockets. But the reason Aaron and his father were kind of like driven out of the town is that Ellie's father and cousin think that Aaron had something to do with it. And the reason Aaron never gets arrested or investigated for the murder is because Luke gives him a strong alibi of them having been together during the timing of Ellie's murder. So that's kind of the setup. I'm not going to spoil anything else in terms of the plot. I feel like you will like this if you're looking for just like a good murder mystery, a good thriller. I think it's very serviceable. I think it's very like, it'll get the job done if you're like on a plane ride or you're on holiday, you're at the beach. It's definitely a page turner. Everyone in my book club thought it was like really easy to get through and really fun to read. For me, I feel like I was a little bit let down just because I didn't like the resolution of either of the murders, not the one that was happening in the present timeline, nor the one in the past timeline. It felt like Jane Harper had not done enough work to kind of build up to the big reveal. And I feel like for this genre, I have a high expectation as a reader that you will be breadcrumbing me clues or signs. Obviously, you don't want to be overly overt in doing that as an author, but that's like, to me, that's like the craft and that's the expertise of writing a murder mystery. Like the really good ones like Agatha Christie or even Gone Girl, anything by Gillian Flynn, you like in retrospect can see the signs and you can feel where things are pointing, and that's why it feels so satisfying. Or maybe the reveal is shocking in the way that it's like not what you would have expected, but I still think you need to have done the scaffolding and have like enough prep work throughout the plot and the characterization to not feel like it came out of nowhere. And for me, I feel like both murders, when I finally found out like what happened, I was like 3 out of 5, like very mediocre. Having said that, this book did come out in 2016. That's like over 10 years ago. So I think audience expectations are totally different now. I feel like there's a lot of twists and turns and big reveals, and we've had a lot of TV shows where the protagonist is actually not someone you're supposed to empathize with. The structure and the expectations around murder mysteries have evolved a lot in this day and age, and so as a modern reader, maybe my standards are a bit too harsh. I feel like for a 2016 debut novel, it's actually pretty good, and it was pretty fun to read. but I just wouldn't put it in like my top thrillers or things that I found really gripping and would recommend. So I think you would like this if you're just trying to find something to maybe get you back into reading, or something that's kind of intriguing and unfolds really quickly. I did think there was a lot of potential around this whole idea of Aaron is like albino and like never really fit in his hometown, he felt, and him leaving and then having to return and face his like ghosts from his past, as well as the weather as a character, like the overwhelming heat which puts everyone on edge. I thought those parts of the premise had a lot of promise and a lot of potential, but they didn't really go anywhere. Like the heat and the dry created this kind of like boding, like looming feeling of being on edge, but it didn't really like fully live up to its potential, I feel like, in terms of what happens in the book. And Aaron doesn't really go through that much character development. I mean, I think he's a well fleshed out character, but I don't feel that he has really like changed that much, or that what we learn about him really like makes me feel more attracted to him as a character. So all in all, I feel like there are a lot of good ingredients, and it's executed pretty well, and it's very serviceable for a debut novel. This is the first book of 3. She did go on to write 2 more books, so it's a trilogy, and I think Aaron Falk is like the main protagonist in each book, and he has a different kind of mystery to solve. And this also got turned into a movie with Eric Bana, which we watched a bit of with my book club, but it was also kind of like meh. I don't know, it was fine. We didn't finish it. I went home because I was tired. But those are my thoughts on The Dry by Jane Harper. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.